Special video conference meeting of the Washoe County District Board of Health, Thursday, September the 10th, 2 o'clock. We have a limited agenda today. We're going to start with a roll call to determine quorum, please.
Dr. Novak?
Here.
Mike Grant?
Here.
Our supervisor will be absent. There.
He's muted. Chris, are you there?
I couldn't hear her. I'm sorry. I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Dr. Danko?
Here.
Councilman Delgado?
Here.
Tom Young? Tom Young will be absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, good. We do have quorum to proceed. Ms. Albee, would you do the pledge for us today?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 3 is public comments. If we have public comments, please state your name and who you are representing.
I do.
I represent Greg Ferraro for the Nevada Resort Association.
Okay, Mr. Ferraro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. On behalf of Virginia Valentine, the president of the Nevada Resort Association, and our members, I'd like to make a statement that would accompany a letter that Ms. Valentine sent to your board yesterday, I believe. Start by thanking you, Mr. Chair, and your board and your health district team for your dedication and long hours over the past 6 months. The resort industry shares your dedication to the health and well-being of our area's residents and visitors. We appreciate your steady guidance and continued lines of open communication. As you know, the resort industry is heavily invested in safeguarding our constituencies and ending this public health emergency as the tourism industry's existence and recovery depend on it. We recognize the regulations before you today are designed to stop the spread of COVID-19 and to help our community return to some sense of normalcy. In reviewing the regulations, we respectfully ask for clarification on a few items so that our members can better understand the expectations. In section 11, for example, we have questions about cleaning protocols, and the section mentions posting a one-page summary of the standards and a list of key contact persons at public health agencies. We're hoping that your agency will provide these materials. In section 14, it refers to imposing fines, but does not provide further context around these fines. And while fine amounts are established, the instances for drawing a fine remain unclear. If this body has the authority to impose fines, we'd like to work with you on a solution to clarify when fines are imposed and in what amounts. That's just a few. Help provide clarity, particularly around the inspection process, would be to issue a checklist for new regulations. Our members would find these checklists very useful. And while these regulations we understand must be adopted by September 10th, we ask that you consider including an effective date that provides for more time for the regulations to go into effect. The Southern Nevada Health District adopted regulations on September 3rd, and as you may be aware, established an effective date of 30 days after passage. Given the speed of this process, the additional time for implementation would allow our members the time to hire and train employees, ensure they have all the required protocols and resources in place, and it would also allow the health district adequate time to acquire staffing, training, and the systems needed for enforcement. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we appreciate the cooperation and collaboration. We look forward to continuing to work with you. And with that, I have no more to my statement. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. I realize this is public comment, but if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much for your public comment. We have submitted Ms. Valentine's letter as part of public comment, so we have done that. And
Yes.
You did not register for public comments. So at this time, I think we're going to have to hold on that. Resort Association has made their comments. But we had to register it. It's very specific on how you have to do it. So, but thank you anyway for your interest.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda we have today. Do we have anything that needs to be moved from the agenda? If you want to talk about anything differently, if not, I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as is published.
I so move, Christopher Dare.
Okay. You have a second? I'll second. Second. Okay. Any comments on it? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we move on with the agenda. The next item on here is the consent agenda. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. Is there anybody that needs to pull one off? Any more further details before we move on? I will accept a motion to go with the consent agenda as published.
Make a motion, you accept this.
Okay, I said it. We've got everybody muted.
I didn't hear a second. I second if there wasn't one.
Thank you, Oscar. Yes. First, second, any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes unanimously. Now, the next thing on the agenda is the discussion and possible action to ratify Nevada Administrative Code 447E SARS-CoV-2 regulations at public accommodation facilities as adopted by the Nevada Health and Human Services on August the 31st in response to Senate Bill 4 as approved by the Governor Sisolak on Yeah.
I have to appreciate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I appreciate you expediting, but I believe Daniel, the deputy district attorney, would appreciate
Thank you.
this. So for the record, Charlene Albee, I'm the Division Director of Environmental Health Services. The packet in front of you today is can't provide any background on why we were identified as a county of between 100 and 700,000. That that's a duty that we have been delegated, but we have been, and so we will. contact with Southern District, and we will continue to work with them because we do recognize that we have operators in the north and the south, and it will be better for everybody if we can come up with some consistent guidance and standards and policies, recognizing that Southern Nevada Health District of us, and we can move forward. Before the meeting today, we did reach out. We have 18 facilities that are affected by these regulations in Washoe County for the actual inspection of the public accommodation facilities. So we did let them know that these were coming. And then the only other piece that's going to be an unknown at this point is the response to complaints at any of the gaming facilities. Whether restricted or non-restricted, we're supposed to respond to those complaints. And we have not heard anything from the Gaming Control Board about what those expectations are. So we will continue to develop a program that will be able to respond to that. We're expecting to have to pull a number of inspectors between 4 and 6 offline doing regular environmental health services to be focused on meeting the statutory mandates of these regulations. And we'll continue to work to the best of our ability to get things accomplished to ensure the public safety. With that, I'm available for any questions.
Again, I apologize, Ms. Alvey, for not letting it go. It's
No,
an
that's okay.
interesting process, and I think as all of our people out there listening to it, we're in the dark on some of this stuff just as they are, and we'll just make regulations and stuff as we go, and we have to keep them involved. So, any questions from the board for Ms. Alvey?
This is Christopher.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so just a couple thoughts that I have, and I want to make sure that we are keeping in mind and as we go forward.
Up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
A couple thoughts I just want to throw out there, and one is I always have concern whenever we're talking about putting regulations that are not normal for us to have, and this isn't personal to anybody; it's just human nature. I want to make sure that there's a lot of feedback coming back to us, and us keeping an eye on if there's any fees going out, making sure we have a process where there's warnings of any sort, making sure we're working together with businesses. And I'm not saying we don't want to do that. We tend to do that as a health board and as our thing, but we are in interesting times. People are already stressed financially, all those things. And the last thing I want to do is come across as somehow we now are in there like some group of people trying to whatever. And I don't think that would ever be our intent, but if we're not careful, it could be done on accident. And so I'm saying a lot of times our health workers, they do a lot of different things and we don't always know about each of the details. On this particular thing, I'm asking for more detail. I want, if we're moving forward, I want to be way involved in it. I am concerned. I do like the idea of the 30-day extension in a sense of getting us ready, let everyone ramp up into this. Hopefully we see some COVID change by then anyway. But obviously we are all in this together and we want people safe. And I appreciate even what was shared about safety. I appreciate people trying to get their jobs back. All those things are in our interest. But I just want to be wise on how we move forward. And I know we didn't ask for this necessarily. Yeah, well, we didn't ask for this. But obviously we as a region will do what we need to do. But I really hope that we can make sure that we put extra steps involved to make sure we're all really working on this together when it comes to any of this enforcement. I don't know direction wise, but it is a concern of mine.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
Tom Young here. I also question whether or not we can really get the protocols figured out and the effective processing of this figured out in 30 days. And sometimes I don't know legally whether we could even extend that somewhat, but it does pose lots of training and on the part of the facilities affected, plus lots of implementation, personnel. We are going to be strapped with trying to figure out how to shuffle some personnel and retrain some people to do this too. And I'm not sure that legally how much, if we can even expend this till November 1st, and then, so it's a state law, I assume we have to follow this, but there's just a lot of good intent in this thing, but there's also some things I think that this was written somewhat hastily, so we have to figure it out.
I'm going to make a motion. We'll have a motion.
COVID-2 regulations and public accommodation facilities is adopted by the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services on August 31st, 2020, in response to Senate Bill 4 as approved by Governor Sisolak on August 11th, 2020, with an implementation date or effective date 30 days from today.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no more, do we have a vote? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion passed with the caveat that we'll have a 30-day implementation date. So,
I have one discussion on that. Tom just asked if we could go farther. Are we stuck on the 30-day? Is that just something we have to accept?
he wants to know if people want to do it.
You know, I think that we should have Charlene answer that question for us. Charlene.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The way that the funding is set up for the program currently is we are being provided $500,000 of CARES funding that is going to cover the operations through December the 30th. After that, it does become an unfunded mandate. With the adoption of these regulations, they are effective for 6 months as an emergency adoption. During that time, we have to develop permanent regulations and bring them back to this body for approval. If we count backwards in making December 30th the date that we have to target, that would be our reg adoption, which would make November our business impact statements, which means that we have to have public workshops no later than probably the last week of October, the first week of November. In order to establish a fee to cover the inspection costs for this program, we need to actually get out there and start doing some inspections so that we can actually come up with an actual cost. Obviously, we don't want to overcharge or undercharge, that we want to get it as accurate as we possibly can, which is the way we've developed all of our fees at the health district. So we need to be able to actually get the program going, reach out to our affected agency or facilities, get our program established, get them up to speed so they know what the expectations are, and actually conduct some of those inspections so that we can establish that fee. And if we push it out much further, then after December 30th, it's going to become an unfunded mandate, and we're going to bump up against that 6-month regulatory requirement to have regs adopted. So I think with the 30 days, with us working together, we've already reached out to our affected facilities that I think we can pull everybody together and get the program moving, and then have a baseline on where we can go with the permanent regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I think this is going to be a very complicated thing to have happen within the timeframes that they set down in this bill. It is going to take the health department, the board, and the resort association and all their members here, and we're all going to have to work together. It's going to be very complicated because, as the opening statement, we have no guidelines on what we're supposed to be doing or how we're supposed to be doing it or anything else. So I hope everybody can work together, bear with us as we all kind of wade through the process. And it's not a one-sided deal where one side's in here and the other side. We're just going to have to wade through it together.
So Chair, can I just say one thing to that and then I'll be done? I think my soapbox is getting big, but I still want to say it. So I understand what we're saying, and Charlene,
Speak up.
thank you, Charlene, for that explanation, because I think that's good to hear. I get in things that make sense, want us to move in haste, all of a sudden make decisions that don't make sense because we're moving so fast. So I would like to make sure this is loose enough of what we're saying yes to, that if for some reason you get down to this wire and we're not ready to do it and we just start doing it because, let's not do that. I want to make sure we do what's good for our community, and we'll push against the goads if we have to, but we have to do what's good for our community. And that's safety, and that's all of those things. But you are right, John. We have a lot of things moving, not easy. This is going to be difficult, a lot of things to put together. And let's just make sure if we're pulling that trigger in 30 days that we're actually ready, not just because we said 30 days. Is that fair to say? Can we agree to that?
Good. Thanks, Chris. Any other comments?
This is Tom Young again, too. I just have one in kind of agreeing with Christopher's comments to make sure we as a health department can move smoothly on this. The operators actually have some sort of definition of what they're supposed to do with this too. Some of the things, there's emphasis on this thing about making sure no casino denies or tries to encourage people not to take the daily room service, which I think during the COVID we would not want as much contact, and you should be encouraging not to have room service to have more chances of contamination too. But anyway, that's just one of my thoughts and things too. But as long as Charlene thinks that the health department can get their act together in 30 days and the operators who are going to have to do the training and hiring and figure this part out are all in cohorts, I think it's fine that we should go ahead and do this, but I think we have to be cautious.
Thank you. I think we've got a very professional staff with some experience as much as we can, and they've already started working on this. So just bear with us. They're going to get it out, and we'll get it out to the people involved as quick as we can. And we expect some feedback when they start getting it, because it's, like I said, it's just going to take a while to get through it.
So, but John, I appreciate that. I don't question our staff. I question what our staff has been asked to do. And so in the time thing. And so I'll withdraw my yay if I would like to make sure that our staff knows, and it's in there, that we pull the trigger when we're ready. We'll try to do the 30 days, but if it's not ready, I don't want us to pull that. So I would say I'm not going to say yay. I actually withdraw that if I can't have that in there, because I don't want to push this forward and cause any problems. We already have a lot of things happen in our community. We don't need to add to it.
Okay, good. Thank you. But we're still going to shoot for the 30 days. To try to get this out, so
question for you, for my vote, I appreciate it. Can we, I'm not motion, can we put in there that that's upon the staff feeling like they are ready to move forward?
We've already voted. We've already voted, and it's passed though. So, but the comments are very good.
That's not, John, I am allowed to withdraw my vote. I know that for a fact.
Are you listening?
So Charlene Albee, for the record, I would commit that if we get to 30 days and the programs are not ready and we have not got clear direction, that the staff would come back to this board and would provide an update on the status to let you know where things are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we good?
Tom Young here, one more too. Do we, if indeed we decide we're not ready to implement this thing too, are we still stuck to the 30 days?
Not necessarily. We're getting, hold on for just a minute. This week.
Katie Reed for the record, Deputy District Attorney. As everybody is more than aware, there is scant direction here from the legislature. The legislature mandated that these regulations be adopted by this board substantially as written no later than today. That is a mandate from the state legislature. The state legislature was silent as far as implementation and enforcement deadlines and requirements. However, one reasonable interpretation is that the legislature acted in haste through a special session in responding to an emergency, and the likelihood that this was designed to be a drawn-out process is slim. juxtaposing that against the real operational requirements that have been discussed here, both in public comment and by Ms. Albee, it's clear that there are some holes that this district needs to fill. Today, I will say that it is reasonable, as proposed by Ms. Albee, to give a status update. It is difficult to project what my legal recommendation will be 30 days from now without understanding that update. And the motion that was made and passed is that implementation is scheduled to take effect 30 days from now. If there is a need to look at that and revise that, the conversation would probably be better had in light of the facts that lead to that necessity.
Have discussion at that point in time.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Are you
I'm
good?
comfortable with that. Thank you.
Chris?
I said, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We just didn't hear you, so.
Tom Young here too, and I'm comfortable with that, and I think that hopefully we'll be able to work in partnership with our casino partners with this inspection, and things will go very, very smoothly, and the public will be safe.
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, anything, board comments? Is there anything else people want to put on the agenda, discuss as an action or update on a request for anything at this point? Hearing none? Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think people have probably already seen it in the news, but the state task force met this morning, and they did approve the bars, taverns, distilleries, wineries, et cetera, reopening no later than 11:09 p.m. next week.
I can't hear him very well. I'm sorry. It keeps going in and out. I don't know if it's just me.
Let me see if I can.
No sooner than.
So no, the state task force did approve the bars reopening in Washington County. I believe it was no later than the 11:59 p.m. on next Wednesday, and we will be working with Terry Reynolds, Business and Industry and Qualification of the Governor's Office on some little tune-ups, I guess, to the plan that we had proposed to meet some of their comments and concerns prior to that process. So I just wanted to give everybody an update on that.
Oh, thank you. That's actually pretty darn good news. Okay. Any other board comments or anything at this point? If not, do we have any public comments?
No public comment except for the one who's done.
Okay. There is nobody signed in for public comments at this point. Just to reiterate, we do have this Valentine's letter from the Resort Association, on file as a public comment. So, hearing no other business, we adjourn the special meeting for today, and we will meet in another week or so for our regular board meeting. So, thank you all very much. Moving right along. Thanks.